Well, hello, my friends and fellow seekers of truth. Today, I actually have something different, as you can see. You don't know this about me, but I was a homeschool mom for 20 years, and I am currently at a university getting my Master of Science in Education. And so I wanted to share with you my passion, which is to encourage families, parents to homeschool their children. And I have a presentation that I have built that I would like to take you through and encourage those of you who know someone who might be interested in homeschooling, maybe in your family, or maybe you yourself are seeing the importance of this. So the question here is, why homeschool? And I will be answering those questions as we go along. I think many of you have seen what is happening in the public school system, and you're not liking what they're teaching your children, the curriculums that are coming down that are very anti-Christ, anti-American, and anti-family. So I aim to help change this. And those of you who are patriots or just people who can see the environment and don't want your children subjected to this, you do have an option, and that is to homeschool your children. That is the most natural way to raise them. It's on the same level as breastfeeding, because once we take away the bottles and the strangers out of our children's lives, we are able to bond with them on a deeper level. That will sustain them as they go through the teenage years, through puberty, and all of those things that can really cause such a change in your innocent little child till sometimes you don't recognize them at all. And we certainly don't want that to be for the worst. So, why homeschool? Here you see my name. Most of you know me by Miss Deborah, which I like going by Miss Deborah. But my last name is actually Herzog, and I may as well put it out there because I'm going for my doctorate in education this coming January. So within a year, I will have finished my master. It's a two-year program, and then I'm going on for my doctorate. So then I will be Dr. Herzog. So I may as well put my name there. And I have a website, Train Up Your Child. It's full of information and it is growing to help you be able to homeschool. So there's all kinds of things there. I even have a new podcast. Once you go to the website, you can go to the podcast page and click on the button and you'll go right to my new podcast. There are only a few, there are like two. I think I'll do my third one today. But I plan on continually growing that because I want to stay in touch with you and help you. Now, there's also a coaching information uh, on homeschool coaching when you go to the Train Up Your Child website. So you can check into that too. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this slideshow. I built it last year for one of my classes, but I thought it was a really good teaching tool to help you understand more about homeschooling. So let's go ahead and get into this. And I had fun building this. I made it interactive, and now I'm going to turn it into a video because it's easier to share as a video. It's kind of fun to click as I go along or as you go along, but it's not easy to share that and have it be clickable for you. So we're talking about improving your child's education, okay? So that's your school improvement plan up at the top left. And education comes back home means that we are taking back the power of being the authority in our children's lives. Instead of giving that to strangers and to globalists and to communists and all these people who feel they have a right to your child, you can be the #1 teacher for your child. Now, here we have education comes back home, train up your child. It's just a little cover page, but pay attention to the picture because children do love to learn. And when they are engaged in creative learning, they're happy. And when they are in the comfort and security of your home, they are free to explore and be creative. So, how to make your child a super achiever. I'm going to go ahead and read through this so we can keep in time with this video and just listen for a minute. You know, you could even close your eyes and just think about what I'm saying. Just relax. How to make your child a super achiever. It is not a mystery that schools need improvement. The decline of public school systems is reaching a critical low. Parents are becoming aware that instead of their children being educated to love God, their families, and their country, they are quickly being programmed to oppose what is good and embrace what will harm them and our future as a nation. In public schools, our vulnerable children and their families are often suffering unconstitutional mandates, anti-Christian indoctrination, and shameless immorality. Our future is at risk. Many families are now turning to homeschooling, and rightfully so. TrainUpYourChild.org is answering the call of families who are new to homeschooling and those with experience who are seeking continued encouragement and ideas. Based on decades of experience, research, and observation in this holistic form of education, we offer continued support for parents and character building online lessons for children. Now, just a sideline here, those are coming, the lessons are coming, but there is a lot of information for parents right now on trainupyourchild.org. We encourage the return to traditional home training as the way to raise healthy, intelligent, and well-adjusted children. So, what is training? What does it mean to train up your child in the way he should go? You know, the Bible tells us here, as you can see, is the scripture, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That's Proverbs 22:6. Now, this is a question. What does training mean? Because when you send your children to school all day long, they are receiving training. They are being programmed to do certain things, think in certain ways, and not I would say most of these things are not even normal. For instance, at home, do you have a bell you ring when you change a subject that you're teaching your child? Is your child being programmed to follow the ringing of a bell? And when your child needs exercise, does he have to wait until recess? Or can you just freely and organically have periods of exercise and fun and movement at your home in between teaching your children? There's so much about public education and Christian school, folks. You know, it's the same. We're talking institutional learning. There's so much about this that is not normal. When you train up your child, that requires repetition. But in school, what they're hearing frequently is that God is not real, no prayer in the school, God is dead. They're being trained. They are, sorry, they are being trained to believe things that may go against your values very strongly. So what we have here is when you're training your child, it's because a child needs your love and attention. He needs your time and patient repetition. Investing yourself into your children is never a regrettable choice. Give your child the head start he needs by teaching him in the peace and safety of your home. Now, I know a lot of you are out there fighting for your rights as a parent at the public schools, and you are fighting for your children to not be masked, not be vaxxed, and a whole bunch of things like that. But think about it. If you're raising your child in the home, you don't have to fight public school. That just becomes a misnomer. And your child gets the best education there is. So our vision at trainupyourchild.org, our vision statement is envisioning a world where an ever-increasing number of children are trained, educated, and protected from birth to adulthood in their own nurturing and inspiring homes. And our mission statement, encouraging and empowering parents to regain their authority by homeschooling their children throughout their childhood. Holistically effective instruction is offered, which reunites education to its lively roots of mind, body, soul, and spirit. Using biblical principles with a Christian worldview, children grow strong, respectful, and wise in their home environment of love and learning. Now, how is your child going to get spiritual training at school? And is the short time you spend with your child before he or she goes to bed and sometime on the weekend enough time to compensate for the full-time exposure they are getting to Antichrist ideals and ideologies in school 5 days a week, full-time? Can your little short words of encouragement and spirituality really truly compensate for all that time they're spending hearing just the opposite? That's something parents need to be considering. When your children are learning at home, they are being creative, they are free, they can hear from God and the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. However, when they're at school, there is some creativity, but there are also things like bullying, teachers with agendas that are crushing to your child. There can be a lot of exterior influences that cause your children to not be able to be the full person God created them to be. So that's why homeschooling is so very important. I hope you are seriously considering this responsibility God has given you to train up your children in a way that honors Him. Now, some parents, I do want to address this, is that some parents feel like they don't have enough finances to homeschool their children. And what I can tell you about that is during the 20 years that I homeschooled, my ex-husband was out of work, seems like frequently, and we really were poor. However, I felt it was important, and so did he, to lay down our lives for our children and give them all of the benefits and advantages they could have as they matured into adults. And let me tell you, it has paid off. My oldest son, I have two sons. My oldest son retired from the Air Force. He went in at 17. He was in for 20 years. I could not believe that he actually made it through that. And not only did he make it through, he was a genius, and he was such a computer genius that they used him outside of his normal, I forget what you call it, but whatever they learn, and he was actually a mechanic, a aircraft mechanic in the Air Force. but they actually retrained him after they found out how smart he was, and they retrained him in computers, and he had a lot of responsibility. So, and my younger son is super intelligent too, and he is one of our truckers that drives all over the country hauling um, stuff on semis, and he's super intelligent. So let me just say, you don't have to have a lot of money to homeschool your children. And as you look at this page here, this is showing the creativity of homeschooling. It's a creative venue for parents too, because you don't have to have a curriculum. I never used a curriculum that someone else created. I was the curriculum. And whatever was necessary for them to learn, God was showing me as we went along. And we covered all the bases, but I picked out my own books. I figured out my own lesson plans, my own schedule. And let me tell you, I wasn't like a public school teacher doing a formal lesson plan. It was more all part of the learning experience during the day. And we did have time, we sat down at the table and there was writing and reading and arithmetic. But there were so many other things that I incorporated into their education that had to do with learning how to live in this world and that kind of real life training. So it's fun for you. I would never trade it for anything. It's work, yes, but it's a lot of fun. Now, some some parents think they're not qualified. They just think they're not qualified to be the teacher for their child. I want you to look at the faces on these people here and answer that question. Who knows more about your child than you? You see, God has given you the anointing to be the teacher for your child. He did not give this anointing to a public school teacher, a Christian school teacher, your babysitter. He gave it to you. And because he did this, he wants you to use it and for the best for your child, to truly promote your child. Launch him forward. You are the one who knows the most about your child. You are the one who knows what he needs or she needs. Take advantage of this. And with homeschooling, you can do it. You don't have to fight anyone else for, okay, here's a good example. Do you know in public schools, they're not teaching children cursive writing? They say because now they can type on computers. They don't want children to be able to privately write someone something. Everything written on a computer can be seen. Your information can be retrieved. Why do you think they're dropping cursive? Is it because we don't need cursive, or is it because somebody somewhere, some people don't want your child to even be able to write in an adult way to someone else? And printing has a different hand and eye coordination than cursive writing. And they say, from what I've read and seen, cursive writing is very important for your child's mental and physical development, their intelligence. So this family here, they know what their child needs. You know what your child needs. Why send them somewhere where they will get an inferior education? Now, I have a message to parents here. I'm going to read this to you, and just take a moment and listen. Just relax. I'll read this, and then I'm going to talk about comparing, contrasting homeschooling, what some people's fears are, but what they're seeing in the school system too that's making them think they should homeschool. So this page begins, you can do it. Message to parents. Often parents feel apprehensive about converting to homeschooling because they doubt their ability to properly educate their children. They have been told for decades that public school is the best place to teach their children. Who says this? With morality fast declining and schools underachieving, God's direction remains clear. His design is for children to be raised by godly parents in the home. Parents, train up your own children lest you lose them to the world. We are here to help you and your children thrive and achieve with helpful videos, teaching materials, and suggestions. Not only can you do it, you can also excel at it. Now, I have a little analysis on the right-hand side. Some of the things that parents fear they're seeing, but then their excuses as to why they don't know if they should homeschool. So looking at low achievement school levels, many parents are seeing that their children are not getting the education they should be getting. Okay, but the parents' fear is that if one of them quits their job, their income will be lower and they won't have the money to survive. So you're seeing the problem, but how do you change it? And what I can say about this is what I wrote up here is encourage parents to trust God for their finances. Homeschooled children are higher achievers, and we'll be talking about this. So how much are your children worth? You know, you may not necessarily have your extra car, your extra vacation. You may not have a bigger house, but in the long run, would you give all those things for your children? Or are those things more important to you than they are? So you have to really consider that as you're seeing the decline of the level of education that your children are getting in an institutionalized learning. Okay, how about this one? This is a biggie. Immorality in school curriculum. There are people actually designing curriculum to cause your children to become immoral. And they're putting anti-Christian, anti-God values, suggestions, pictures, all kinds of things that are shocking to many parents today. Well, you know, think about it. Why should it be shocking? Your children are little lambs, and the world is full of wolves. And wolves gravitate to places where they can have easy access to children. When you're sending your children to public school, you're sending them to a place that has made it very easy for predators to have access to your children. Is that what you really want? Or can you do something better? Now, on the right side, forces that are coming against you homeschooling might be in the back of your mind, commitment to be an example. You have to be an example to your children every day when you are homeschooling them. You can't just be nice and friendly and accepting when they come home at night, you know, for that hour or two you have with them. No, you have to be that way all day. And being a homeschooler will really make you raise your bar on your own behavior and your own attitudes, because it's counterproductive to have a parent homeschooling who's using profanity, who's angry, who's impatient, who's judgmental and not supportive. For you to homeschool your children, it changes you. And this is a real strong reason to homeschool. Okay, here's one. Your child is disconnecting. If your child is disconnecting from you, not communicating as much, being quiet, not wanting to spend time with you, but wanting to be in their room alone a lot, you know, this can very well be a result of what they're experiencing at school. They may be experiencing sexual abuse at school. And let me tell you, I've got to tell you about this one because this is horrible, but it's true. There are people coming out who are talking about how they were for years trafficked in public school. The police department was complicit. The school was complicit. The teachers were complicit. The child would come to school on the bus, and not long after they got to school, someone was picking them up from their class, taking them off to make money with them being trafficked, and making sure they got home, back to the school each day to take the bus home. These children were quiet for years under fear of their family being injured if they told anyone, because they were threatened like that. You have no idea what is truly happening to your children when you send them off to school and you go off and do something else. This is becoming an epidemic of abuse in the schools, and it's time that parents who love their children stand in the gap, take their responsibility seriously, and be committed. Be committed. So that is the child is disconnecting. Well, the fear of the parents is, I know I don't want my child to disconnect, but I'm not going to have as much independence if I homeschool. Some parents don't even work a second job and they just want to have fun with their friends or go and do things. You know, they have all these activities that they do while their children are at school. But that's going to create in that child over a period of time, many children do begin to disconnect from their parents. I mean, I'm not saying it happens to everyone, but it happens to such a large amount. Why should you run that risk? Now, your child has spiritual needs. That's the fourth area. Oops, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me go back here and see what happened. Oh, I don't know what I did. Anyway, we're going to go on to this page because I think I was here anyway. Okay, did you know that homeschooled children are better achievers? A homeschooled child, it's been researched, scores higher in their scholastic tests. They are more intelligent. They are more secure, and they are more, what would you say? They're more balanced. So I actually have peer-reviewed studies on this page. We can look a little bit at this. Did you know that homeschooled children are better achievers? A 2014 study found that the benefits of having a parent at home extend beyond the early years of a child's life. In the study, the educational performance of 68,000 children was measured. They found an increase in school performance all the way to high school aged children. And now I have a link there that you can go and you can check that. But that I have the actual references here where you can go and see what I'm saying here is true. Now, peer-reviewed study excerpt. Further, there is weak or no evidence that the state is effective at ensuring that all or even most children are well educated in public schools. There are mixed messages from research about whether state certification is worth the trouble and cost regarding children's learning in state schools. There is no evidence that state control over or prohibition of homeschooling will enhance children's learning or improve society. There is, however, solid evidence that homeschool students do as well or better than those in public schools, and they do so at a significant financial savings to their fellow citizens. Because look, folks, I'm just going to stop here. We are paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for our taxes on our homes. And at least where I live, 90% of that money goes to public schools. So our children can be indoctrinated with the money we slaved for. That money could have been used to upgrade our homes, to do home improvements, thousands of dollars per year, just to pay for other people's education. But you know, when I homeschooled, I didn't get a penny because that didn't qualify for government money. Only sending your children to the state qualified. So, you know, think about this here. If everyone homeschooled their children, we wouldn't have to pay all that money that we're paying for public schools that are destroying our children in many, many ways. And I'm not saying every public school is horrible. I'm speaking in generalities, but I'm also talking about the epidemic of poor education and danger that many children are experiencing in school. Okay, so there is, however, solid evidence that homeschool students do as well as or better than those in public schools, and they do so at a significant financial savings to their fellow citizens and the state, which does not need to collect taxes for their education. According to the, let's see here, 69% of peer-reviewed studies on success into adulthood, including college, show adults who were home educated succeed and perform statistically significantly better than those who attended institutional schools. And there's a little bit more on this page. I'm going to move on, but you can go on back on the video and you can actually go to the websites and the places where these reviews are listed. Extended family loves to help. So what we're seeing here is a happy grandmother and granddaughter. And grandparents are great people to help teach your children. If you're close to your parents and they're intelligent people, I'm sure they would love to take some time to help with the homeschooling. And this is all very good because it's all the family. It's drawing the whole family closer. Share the joy. Homeschooling parents do not have to go it alone. There are family and friends who may assist you in making special days or participating together with other homeschool families. The opportunities are endless when you take back your power and educate your own children. And there are homeschool organizations. You can make friends. You can share in certain subjects. Like, let's say you're not very good with math, but you have a friend who they're also homeschooling, and the mother or the father is excellent with teaching math principles. Then you can all work together and you can maybe have him come over and teach your children while you're there, and you can be learning at the same time so you can become a better teacher. There are many opportunities and there's so much flexibility when you have the children in your home. You can choose who teaches them. You can choose when they do whatever they have to do. You know, they don't have to ask permission for everything. It's just such a nicer and more relaxed environment. So your grandparents can get involved, and that's a great way for them, for your children to also learn family values. Oh, now stakeholders, let's talk about this. Did you see that stakeholder kind of wobbling there? Well, what stakeholders are, they are people in our society that have the arrogance and what's the word I want to use? I would say audacity to think, oh, the presumption, how about that? To think that they should have control of your children's learning so that in the future they can maybe hire your child to work at their corporation. And I don't mean work as a CEO, I mean do the grunt work. The bottom level jobs is what they are looking for. And to do this, they have to dumb down your children. How do you like that? Your children then are not going to school to learn, excel, be entrepreneurs and independent and live the American dream. Oh no. They're there then in the minds of stakeholders. And let me tell you, schools are very much influenced by stakeholders, big business, corporations, media outlets. They have reasons to manipulate the education of your children for their own benefits, not your children's benefits, the benefits of big money people. So When you homeschool, you are the stakeholder. Your children are the stakeholders, not some other people that have a selfish motivation in this. Have you heard of the term stakeholders? Public schools give many others authority over. Oh no. Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. You saw the page and everything. I'll just tell you this. This is basically my second time, okay? This is my second time. This one was for class, turning a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, into a video. And so as I'm going through this, realize I'm a newbie with making a video. So the presentation was already done, but me here in the box, this box up here, wherever it is, this is new for me, okay? I just learned how to do it today. And so I want you to understand when I go, uh-oh, and I click something, we were on that page. I was pretty much finished with that page. You haven't missed a page, but I just have to be careful not to be moving the button around on the page. So anyway, homeschool advantages. On the left, you'll see the advantages for the children, which are emotional stability, more creativity, confidence. They're protected. They have a higher education. They have more respect for their family, for their country, and for God. And your children stay innocent longer because there's no one exposing them to adult content. You are the one who exposes them to what they need to learn as they grow. Now, the advantages for parents are you have a closer family. You have a godly character in yourselves because you're having to be patient and use the fruits of the Spirit to train your children. That requires long suffering, patience, humility, right? You have to be humble. And all the fruits of the Spirit will come into play. Your true love, have love for your children and homeschool them. Now, also parents, you will be gaining integrity because no longer will you be talking about how much you love your children. You will be truly showing them because you will be sacrificing some of the pleasures of life so that you can raise godly progeny. You can discipline your children. The schools aren't disciplining. When I was a girl, oh, you could get spanked in school. But nowadays, oh no, there's no real discipline, not that way. And so parents are able to discipline their children according to the Word of God when they homeschool. And if that's done in love, that's for the benefit of the children so they're not rebellious. And let's see, patience, selfless. And with all of these different things, advantages, you're going to have a united family, okay? The children will be more intelligent and the family will be more united. And here we are. At the end, I want to thank you for listening today. And please, as you can see on the bottom right, trainupyourchild.org. Please come and see that website. There's a lot of information for homeschooling families and parents, and it is a continually growing website. So I'm actually considering uploading a link to this video here that I just created onto the website. So check it out. I think you're going to enjoy that page, and there's also a new podcast that I created on there, and you can go with a click from the website directly into the podcast. So I want to thank you for coming today, and I hope to support you and encourage you as you homeschool your children, your family, and I look forward to seeing this country become a real solidified family-oriented country. And homeschooling is the best way to get us there. So thank you for stopping today. I appreciate your time, and God bless you and your family.